Welcome to The Quick Fix, a series that gives you wellness tips that are founded in research and that are practical and easy to apply in your life right now. These are short episodes that focus on all aspects of wellness: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, professional, and personal. The goal is to help you and I to live lives that are healthy and soaked with meaning and purpose. So let's get going. Welcome to this episode of The Quick Fix. If you're a leader in any walk of life, there is a secret weapon that you can use to help you do the best in all aspects of your role and assignments. And this secret weapon is an executive coach. Let's understand how working with a coach can give you an operating advantage and why it's your secret weapon. Oh, by the way, please do subscribe to or follow this channel as you'll find lots of amazing episodes to support your growth. So let's start our conversation for today. You and I know that we all struggle through difficult phases in our life. Transitions, relationship issues, career decisions, chronic illness, and so on and on and on. And most of us try and deal with these situations either on our own or we stumble through some well-meaning advice given by well-meaning friends, but most often it's not appropriate at all, or we follow someone else's agenda for our life. Well, most of the time, these actions don't give us optimal results. There's a lot of waste of time, effort, emotions, and so on. Working with an executive coach can often be very, very helpful. She or he is your secret weapon to deal with any current situation and to prepare you to take a great new opportunity or to prepare for the future. However, working with an executive coach is usually never our first option, perhaps because very few of us have experienced the process or benefits of working with one. So, what does your coach actually do to work the magic? Well, the magic is in the process of coaching, not so much the person of the coach. So the magic is in the process. Let me clarify. First of all, it's not magic in the sense that something happens by waving a wand or chanting a spell. It does require you to take the first steps of being vulnerable and trusting someone. Being vulnerable and trusting someone, you need to take this first step. And then it does take some amount of time and effort for you along with your coach as you work through these areas that you're struggling with. But what your coach does is to help you explore 4 aspects of your life. 4 aspects. And these 4 aspects are the being, the doing, the viewing, and the context. The being, the doing, the viewing, and the context. So, let's cover each of these 4 areas briefly. At the number 1, at the being level, your coach will help you start understanding what's happening within you, your feelings, your self-talk, your inner self. He or she will give you the space to really explore what you're really struggling with and help you articulate what's happening within you. Many times we are not able to, or we are too scared to accept or experience some of these emotions, especially the dark emotions like anger or fear or sadness or shame or guilt. And then therefore it's easier to just suppress them or brush them under the carpet. Yet these emotions that remain unexpressed or unresolved or unexperienced all impact what we go through in the present moment. And because these emotions remain unprocessed, we struggle and they percolate into our present, into the way we interact, into the way we think in our present moments. And they remain unprocessed most times because there is usually no safe place for us to explore or experience and to accept them. A place in which there is confidentiality and no judgment. Confidentiality and no judgment. Well, your coach holds this space especially for you. So in this safe space that your coach will hold for you, you can process emotions and thoughts that you've not been able to share with anyone else. And this most often takes a huge load off you, and it's so very, very therapeutic. Just being able to talk to somebody about what's impacting you at a very human level. It releases the worry and the anxiety around issues and creates the mental and emotional space for you to deal with the issue. And your coach helps you do this. So we've looked at the being, what you're going through at that internal level. Next step comes the doing. So your coach will help you with the being and then with the doing. The doing means looking at the consequences of our current actions, the way we are managing our present relationships, the impact of the words that we are using or not using. Everything that we are doing has an impact, and the coach helps you explore the positive and the unhelpful aspects of our current behavior. Because many times there is no one to point out that the course of action you might be taking is risky or has consequences that are unintended. So therefore, the coach helps you in exploring your current doing or not doing and points out what you might want to relook at in terms of start or stop or continue. Your coach becomes a safe haven to which you can return when you're feeling overwhelmed, and especially when life is throwing up all sorts of stuff at you continually, and then your coach is a secure base from which to get back into the fray again. So your coach is a safe haven and a secure base. A safe haven and a secure base. This means you have an impartial sounding board to think through actions and to consider options that you may not have thought about earlier. Therefore, the quality of your decision making and actions is greatly improved. So till now we've looked at being and doing, and the third aspect of what the coach does to work his or her magic is to help you look at the viewing. Viewing means what is it that you really want to focus on, to really give your attention to. When life overwhelms us and we get stuck in a crisis or in a situation that just shakes us completely, or we have no idea what to do, we tend to lose focus on the real important things. That is, what are our values? What are the things that are important to us? What is the way we want to live in the present moment? Our thoughts get short-circuited with the current crisis, or we loop with negativity, and then feelings of helplessness and hopelessness become the new normal. Well, what happens is, in your conversation with your coach, what will happen is that it'll be like blowing the whistle off on a pressure cooker. There is an immediate relief of sharing the burden. You realize that you're not alone in dealing with the situation. There is someone who can support you to refocus, bring back your attention to the things that matter, and help you examine what you're telling yourself. And during these times, most often we are telling ourselves negative self-talk, and usually there is not too much truth in this. So through the confusion of the present moment, your coach helps you come back to the real issues, focus on your key values, or helps you reframe what you're doing and looking at the situation in a different way, a more helpful way, a more adaptive way. So that's what it means when your coach supports you with your viewing. So your coach supports you with your being, doing, viewing, and finally, the context. The context. You and I live in one particular context that includes our family background, our cultural background, physical health, current relationships, the support and resources that are available or not available, and just about everything that concerns the reality of your life situation. All these elements are important because any change must leverage the strengths and opportunities that are possible within your particular context. And And it must leverage the challenges, must leverage the opportunities that it provides. It must minimize the challenges, and it must minimize the limitations that are there as part of your context. And this is even more critical in an Indian or Asian culture where our context is really defines who we are and what we can actually do. So exploring the context with unbiased perspective of your coach can help you see possibilities no matter how slim. No matter how slim. So while contexts are harder to change, your coach can support you to look at optimal ways to work within that context, or perhaps just get comfortable in acceptance or letting go or grieving. Therefore, coming to terms with your context is an important part of the coaching process so that you are able to find the appropriate balance for yourself. Let's start bringing our conversation to a close. So the magic happens as you start exploring these 4 areas with your coach in a safe, confidential, non-judgmental space. And these 4 areas are the being, the doing, the viewing, and the context. And exploring these 4 areas throws up patterns in your life that may not be helpful or adaptive. And when I mean patterns, I mean patterns of thinking and feeling and acting. And these are patterns that keep us locked into negative cycles or sabotage us when we are close to success. But with the help of our coach, we are better able to understand these patterns and then discover ways of thinking, feeling, and acting that are much more helpful and much more adaptive. So, as you start with baby steps in these more helpful and adaptive changes, the magic starts to happen. So there is magic, but the magic is in the process, and you've got to make it work for you. So I encourage you seriously to consider working with an executive coach or a life coach. And you don't have to be in some crisis to do so. You can work with an executive or a life coach even when things are going absolutely fantastic in your life, because that's the ideal time for you to start thinking, planning, preparing for your next curve. So don't wait for a crisis to work with a coach. Get one today.
And that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Please connect with us on coachtoolbox@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and review this channel. Details of our ICF-approved coach training programs and our services as executive coaches and coaching supervisors are on www.globalcoachtrust.org. See you in our next session.